Today we are going to be making another Prohibition Era cocktail. Again, it's a simple 3-ingredient situation, so let's get straight into it. The cocktail is called the Bee's Knees. As far as ingredients go, you're going to need gin, honey syrup, which is 1 part honey to 1 part water. Just warm it up in a small saucepan on a really low heat. Don't microwave it. I tried that once. It was disastrous. Honey everywhere, very sticky. And lemon juice. I'm going to be using a coupe. This is my favorite for Prohibition kind of cocktails. I don't know why. I think the gold just kind of speaks to me. So we're going to need 2 ounces of the gin, 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup, and 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. So let's get started. Now, as far as this cocktail goes, in fact, you know, let's get the ice in here first. So I actually have a very fun combination today. We're using some of these spherical cubes and some regular ones, which have stuck to my bowl because they're so cold. Okay, so 2 ounces of gin. Now this cocktail was apparently created because the gin that was drunk in Prohibition times, it was known as bathtub gin because it was often actually brewed in a bathtub, delicious, and tasted or smelled pretty nasty. So people added honey and lemon because that kind of made it smell a lot more pleasant, and who knew, created a delicious cocktail. So then we're going in with 3/4 of an ounce of the honey syrup. Now I do see in some places honey syrup is a 2-to-1, so 2 parts honey to 1 part lemon. My brain is all over the place today. 2 parts honey to 1 part water. That's just a preference thing, I suppose. If you really want there to be more honey flavour and you want it to be a bit more concentrated, then feel free to use more honey in proportion to the water. So that's everything in. Let's shake it up and then we'll taste it, and I will let you know a little bit more about where this originally came from. I swear, every time I do things the wrong way around. I should have built this in the tin. Anyway, we'll just do that. I'm going to shake it as usual for about 15 seconds. Okay, that looks good. You see how frosty the tin is? And smack it with the heel of your hand. Oh, that looks, smells really good. So I'm going to double strain it today, just in case there were any bits of pith in the lemon juice. Now this cocktail was invented by someone called Frank Meier, who was Austrian born, and he was, I think, the first head bartender at the Ritz in Paris when they opened Café Parisien. Not quite sure what the date was on that, but this was one of his creations. So let's move all these out of the way. You could garnish with a lemon peel or a lemon wheel, but I stupidly zested all my lemons, and so none of them are pretty enough to act as garnish. So I'm afraid it's just a plain Jane today for me. It smells very clean on the nose. Yeah, a little faint sort of honey aroma and some of the botanicals from the gin as well. Anyway, cheers, let's give it a taste. Oh, that's good. It's very simple. Funnily enough, actually, maybe it's just the combination of honey and the lemon that really kind of, it tastes like Provence. It tastes like the south of France in the summer, the beautiful lavender honey and the big juicy ripe lemons that would be growing on the trees. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. And the gin is nice because it adds a little bit of complexity in terms of the botanicals, but it's not overbearing. It lets the other ingredients shine. And if you do have the option to get your hands on some, I think they call them Amalfi lemons, some of those really big, beautiful Italian ones, I definitely think this would be the kind of cocktail where your lemon juice could really shine. I know normally citrus is just something we throw in a lot of cocktails and we don't really think about it, but I think this would definitely be somewhere where a really good quality lemon could really come into its own. And the same for honey. If you have a very special, you know, single flower honey, I don't know if that's a term or if I just made that up, then this would be a nice place to showcase it. So if you had a lavender honey or you had an orange blossom, would work really nice, I think, as well. Let's have another taste. That is really good. I didn't have any fancy honey, it was just pretty standard mixed wildflower honey, but tastes really lovely, very summery. Would definitely recommend this as a little snifter to cool you down on a hot summer's day. And I think you could get away with maybe batching this. I mean, I wouldn't stir it in a pitcher or anything. I would make sure that you maybe pop it in the blender, obviously without ice, ahead of time. If you are looking at batching cocktails for a party, I would definitely recommend the advice of Dave Arnold. He suggests that you obviously need to make sure that your cocktail is appropriately diluted. We just shook this over ice, so quite a lot of water from the ice ended up in the cocktail. If you are pre-making your cocktails and pouring them out of a jug or a bottle, you will need to make up for the fact that it would have been shaken over ice, so you need to add extra water. So what he suggests doing is weigh your cocktail ingredients before you add ice, and then shake one cocktail with ice, weigh that, see what the difference is, and that way you can work out how many grams of water you need to add per drink. And if you're making this ahead of time, you can just pour in that relevant amount of water and you'll have the perfect cocktail, because you will notice the difference if you do drink an under-diluted cocktail. It's pretty abrasive, and often a lot of the flavors really come out more once you have diluted the cocktail, which might seem counterintuitive, but I mean, a martini is a great example. If you drink a martini that has just been, you know, gin out of the freezer, pretty much poured straight into the glass with a rinse of vermouth, it's going to taste extremely different to if you get a martini that has been stirred over a good quantity of ice. Anyway, enough of my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll leave the recipe in the description box below, and please hit the subscribe and like buttons if you did indeed enjoy this video, and I will be sipping on this and I'll see you next time. Cheers.